Shalom, shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. It's your boy YouTube named TikTok Israel. And today I want to make this video. I basically want to send it out to the Moors, you know what I'm saying? A message to the Moors, cause I think they just lost in the sauce out here. It's just that I think they take, first of all, the title Moor is the most generic term in the world for the simple fact it only means black. And these brothers swear up and down they dealing with nationality, but they not. All they saying is they black, we been here, or we came from here, so we entitled to this. I mean, that's cool and everything, but every single person on this face of this earth belongs to a nation. And when you just want to say I'm black, I look at that as the cop out. So something else I wanted to touch on is that from my angle looking at the Moors from the outside looking in, seeing what they about and what they believe, and I see some of them say they indigenous to this land and cannot prove it at all, no matter how far they can try to dig back in their doctrine. And some say that they came from the west coast of Africa, and that's cool. And some say they dealing with Spain. Now, what I'm here to do today is to connect these dots and let them know that everything is Hebrew, everything is Israelites, and everything been prophesied and it's just coming into effect. So I'm here to bring forth some Native American artifacts. I'm gonna show you some brothers who's bringing out some DNA evidence from my Moorish brothers who ruled the continent of Europe. So I'm just gonna bring out a lot of artifacts, a lot of history, a lot of articles, a lot of testimonies, and just to let you know, man, y'all brothers, y'all really not saying nothing when it comes to nationality. The only thing you saying is that it's a group of people who's governing themselves under laws and guidance, and that's a. Now this first brother I'm gonna bring out, his name is Hasua Amariel. Hasua Amariel, and he's a black man just like a lot of us over here in America, and he grew up in Chicago. But this man, he has an interesting story. Now I believe he's one of the group of Ben Amin that went to Israel in the 60s. He could have been a part of the group. I just know he lives in the community today. So he has an interesting story, and I'm just gonna play a clip of his testimony real quick and see what he's talking about.
This is the I sat in. I thought I had it here, but I guess it's put out here. I have this is the Limber Association here that I met with. I had a photo in here where you can look it up online. Where I met with the chief Limber chiefs. They indicated that they had, because my family had came down when they left Israel. They traveled down to South Africa to Zimbabwe. They came to Zimbabwe. And I mentioned that to the chiefs, and they said that they had a record of my family passing through there and going off to a far off land and never to be heard from again. You see, so when I came there, I got you can look at you can see the photo online. I had to call it here, but I did. It's probably somewhere else in the paper. I probably should say. So they welcomed me and they gave me a parade and they received me as one of the ancient ones that had returned. You know that. So that's I'm saying all that to say that that was that's when I came back this time in Israel. And
Now a little background on this brother right here. Basically his claim is that he is from the tribe of Ephraim and also indigenous to the Americas from the Olmec tribe. So what he's saying is that when he was coming to America, when his ancestors was coming to America, they stopped in South Africa and met with the other Hebrews down there, the Limba tribe, and they went off never to be seen again. Now this brother, he's a huge mogul in the nation of Israel post slavery for the things that he accomplished. And I would encourage everybody to look him up. Hashua Amariel. You spell his name Howshua. Amariel, Amariel. Look this man up. He has a great story. He did a lot of historic things in Israel as far as finding artifacts and proving his story to be true to the state of Israel. You know, so a huge figure in the Hebrew Israelite community that we all should know. Hashua Mariel. Now, with that being said, this man claims that he's from the Omak tribe, and I believe him. That's my brother. So, what do that say? We should all know by now that the Omak tribe was black people. So, um, we can just cross that out the list right there for indigenous black Moors that was Hebrew Israelites in the Americas, and that's what we're dealing with here, trying to connect the dots of the Hebrews being ancient Moors, because like I said, these Moors is not really dealing with nationality. They just say Moor to mean black. That's cool. Black is beautiful, but at the same time, what nation do you belong to? So that's what we're doing today. Now, before we even go on, the questions that I want to propose and that you need to ask yourself is, my Moorish brothers, my Moorish sisters out there, if you wanted the Moors to say you indigenous to this land, okay, and for the most part, all the black peoples in the Americas has discontinued from their heritage. Now, if you were a black Moor indigenous to this land, I'm gonna bring out so much evidence, you're gonna have to ask yourself, what language did I speak? And 9 times out of 10, when I'm done, you're gonna say Hebrew, because you don't know. Now this next brother, it's a bunch of good brothers from out there in St. Louis, and he about to quote some words from this book called "When Scotland Was Jewish." Now let's just see what some of these words contain in this book.
King James lineage, right? That was on the table. Hebrews don't believe in DNA and ain't did no other research and ain't into science. That's what y'all love to claim. Going on the record, we profess the Bible is the word of God, but if any Israelite is well researched, man, we ain't just saying this to be saying this. This right here is when Scotland was Jewish. King James was from Scotland, man. All right, James Stewart, which is a spinoff of the word swarthy, which means, again, dark skin. But anyway, DNA evidence, archaeology, analysis, operations, and public and family records show 12th century Shemitic roots. So we're going to talk, we're going to play. What we going to do? Because y'all need to stop coming up against the God of Israel as if he's some type of comic book character or something, man. It's a reason why niggas been taking L's coming against the God of Israel, man. The power of Israel. Flat out. L's. First, we're going to go to page 21. James Stewart. Remember that. We're going to go to page. You see that? So you say you got DNA records. Well, let's get the DNA. All right? First, we're going to go to page 21. James Stewart. Remember that. We're going to go to page 21. Again, at this guy that calls himself Dr. Ali Muhammad. You know them brothers going to mop you up. We're going to give you a little something before that. So nobody will go astray thinking these, because some people take you at face value and say, oh yeah, he's a doctor. He must know what he's talking about. But these men are no weights. They're not lightweights. They no weights. The forgotten monarchy of Scotland. Stuarts. This page 21. The Stuart family maternal line in France was descended from the tribe of Judah. This is about a man named Michael Stuart. He believes his family is of Davidic ancestry, that is from the Jewish King David and he is therefore a Jew by descent. All right. Originally named Fitzallen, the family took the name of Stuart after serving as royal stewards to Bruce dynasty of Scotland by marrying the female heir of King Robert Bruce in 1315. All right. So a little background on it, but he's saying the Stuart family goes back to the throne of David. David, the line of David. Is that David and them are lily blind white people? Let's get some understanding. Again, we didn't put this together by Elizabeth Caldwell Hirschman and Donald N. Yates. All right? We ain't put this into it. Stewart and Caldwell. He's brought up DNA. Yeah, you brought that into the picture. Said that. Y'all get out that mindset that Europe always has been ran by, or the world has been ran by who you would classify as Caucasians today. Get that out your mind, man. It shows you men have no knowledge of ancient history. Because if you did, most of you Negroes in that conscious community, y'all silent about the black men that ruled Europe. Y'all silent on that. That don't even come out. That don't even come out. Black popes and black kings and all that, but you got nerve to talk about the Moors ran Spain and Italy for 700 years. You think that's as far as black folk went in Europe? But you're a doctor, though, right? So we supposed to take you at face value. You're a doctor, right? You brought DNA to the play. Stewart and Caldwell, page 33. The Stewart donor scores match those of the Caldwell donors in the second wave of immigration. So we now move to a discussion. Jews or crypto Jews. Crypto meaning they was Israelites in the closet, but outwardly. To a discussion, those Jews or crypto Jews, crypto meaning they was Israelites in the closet, but outwardly they were Christians, all right, who joined their co-religionists in Scotland after 1300. What we term the Caldwell Stewart haplotype, you said haplotype, you said that, is the most frequent male haplotype on record. The Stewart haplotype up. It is widely distributed throughout Europe. In America, it occurs in most ethnic populations, including African American and Hispanics. What are you talking about? You brought DNA into the picture. And there's many of brothers scattered throughout Europe, man. Many of brothers, man. Hollywood has seduced our minds, and you think that you let these men slide in. Look, and peep this. You know this, though.
So, yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up with that one right there. You heard the brother. You heard what he said, man. The same DNA that King James shared is running through the Negroes' veins in America. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period, man. Like he said, the so-called conscious community, they don't never want to talk about the Black Moors of Ireland, the Black Moors of Germany, the Black Moors of Britain, you know, and just look up the cresses. Britain got I believe, a lion on their crest. Really, you think them white folks symbol is truly a lion? No, that's when the Moors ruled Britain. When we had that lion of Judah on our flag, that's what that was. So, yeah, the brother spoke well. All right, we're gonna move it along to some indigenous artifacts of the Americas. Now, this is on record right here, and it's been validated by a lot of different people. The oldest Hebrew artifact found in the world, not the Middle East, but the world, was found right here in America, in Ohio. Same state I live in Ohio. All right, let's read it. It's called the Keystone. In November of 1860, David Wywork of Newark, Ohio. I gotta make sure this is still recording, man. I'm gonna be mad if it cut off when I'm reading. I gotta look at two places. Hold on. In November of 1860, David Whitework of Newark, Ohio, found an inscription stone in a burial mound about 10 miles south of Newark. The stone inscribed on all sides with a condensed version of the Ten Commandments and peculiar form of post-exilic square Hebrew letters. The robed, bearded figure on the front is identified as Moses and letters fanning over his head. Now look up the keystone of Newark, Ohio. Alright, oldest Hebrew artifact found in the world. You got the Ten Commandments on with the inscription of Moses with a beard in his hand. It looked like he got an afro if you ask me. Not too far from where I stay, ain't that something? So what is that saying? Is these my ancestors right here? Ain't too far from where I'm at, from Cleveland to Newark. Am I an indigenous Moor? Or if I'm a descendant of one of the slaves? I don't know. I just know my people was Hebrew. That's all I know. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. The Los Lunas Hebrew inscription by Jeff A. Beener. The above inscription is very unique for several reasons. First, it is written in ancient Hebrew script. Second, it is located near the small town of Los Lunas in the state of New Mexico, United States. Third, the inscription is of the Ten Commandments. Now look it up. It's called the Los Lunas inscription. We just heard about the keystone of Newark, Ohio, Ten Commandments with a picture of Moses on it. That was in Ohio. Now we in New Mexico of the Los Lunas with the inscription of the Ten Commandments on it. And before that, the brother from Chicago who was from the Olmec tribe in Mexico, from the tribe of Ephraim, from the nation of Israel. So we all over America right now with these Hebrews findings. Now I had my folder and written down with some links of the artifacts found in Florida, New Mexico, Ohio, the Carolinas, and I believe one other state. I think it was Nevada. But these was all artifacts. I'm just gonna get two today, but it's so many more Hebrew artifacts found in America. So many more. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that right now for the artifacts found. The brother Hoshua Amario, he had an artifact with him that was written in Hebrew. So you can count that for one, but you got to do your research on the man and find it out yourself, you know. But if these Native Americans spoke, no, if they wrote in Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, what makes you think they didn't speak Hebrew? Now, this is the big question right here. The big question is, okay, they spoke. You know what? Let me read this first. Now, this is a real good read right here. I read this. I came across this a couple of years ago. I think like right when I came into the truth, and it was a real good read. It's called Native Americans Jews question mark a fulfillment of prophecy question mark. Now this is wrote by a Jewish man by Harav Amir Bar Tukaduk. I don't know. In 1865, Rabbi Ben Masi Israel, chief rabbi of Amsterdam, recorded an incredible story in his book. He relates a conversation that he had with Jewish Dutch explorer of the Americas. The explorer related how he made contact with the Native Americans, but after trying to communicate with them in every possible European language, he had no success. Being a Jew, as was his first mate, these two began to talk amongst themselves in Hebrew. To his utter amazement upon hearing him speak Hebrew to his first mate, the Native American chief responded in kind and kind and stated, "See my Israel." This is the only one of various. No, this is only one of the very numerous instances that seems not only to suggest, but to actually prove that indeed, somehow, in some way, a number of biblical Israelites managed to leave the Holy Land over 2,000 years ago, and by the hand of God, found their way to the shores of what today we call the Americas. No, I ain't gonna read the whole article to y'all, but it's called Native American Jews question mark a fulfillment of prophecy question mark. Type that in Google and you can download it on the PDF file. But I'm gonna read one more paragraph to wrap it up because a lot of us won't believe it unless a white man say it. So let's see what Thomas Jefferson, the white president, said. What, hold on, was Thomas Jefferson the president? Yeah, I believe he was the president, 17th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna go with that for now. Even Thomas Jefferson in 1803 was aware of Adar's book and made mention of it in one of his letters to John Adams. Jefferson quotes Adar believes that all the Indians of America to be descendants from Jews. The same laws, usage, rites, ceremonies, the same sacrifice, priests, prophets, fasts, and festivals, almost the same religion, and they all spoke Hebrew. Now this is Thomas Jefferson saying this right here. TJ, yeah. Some of my friends went to Thomas Jefferson Middle School. But this is the big question right here. Thomas Jefferson said they had the same religion, fast, festivals, usage, and they all spoke Hebrew. But the big question is, all the indigenous people spoke Hebrew. Is he talking about the red Indian or the black Indian? Because to the white man, a Native American is a Native American because for the most part they was all dressed in similar clothes and had similar customs. So when he say they all spoke Hebrew, is he talking about the blacks that was indigenous here or the red man? See, that's the questions we gotta ask ourselves. Because you want to say you indigenous to this land, and that's cool. But what was your heritage like? What feast did your ancient ancestors take upon? Like, what God did they pray to? And like, what I'm saying? They ceremonies and how they dwelt with each other. Like, what did they do? What was their customs? What was their culture? So just to say you a Moor, it's not cool, man. What is your nationality? Okay, let's talk about our Hebrew brothers and sisters on the west coast of Africa, from where many of us came from. Now, a lot of us come from Nigeria, from the Igbo tribe. Let's see what I'm about to read right now. I heard plenty different historians quote the same thing. What I'm about to read right now. We're gonna deal with words here. Now, since many of us in America come from the Igbo tribe of Nigeria, what do Igbo mean? What does it mean? I'm on a website, everyculture.com, and it's called The Orientation of the Igbo. And in paragraph 2, it says, there are several theories concerning the etymology of the word Igbo, spelled IBO, by British colonists. 18th century texts had the word as Hebrew, Heebo, or Ebo, Eboe, which was thought to be a corruption of Hebrew. Ebo. So basically, a lot of different scholars and researchers say Ebo means Hebo, which comes from Hebrew. Now I'm about to show you a flyer that went out to the white folks of Americas right when we landed to be sold, advertising us. and it says to be sold fine Hebrews, fine Hebrews. Then the brother got a note right here to the side that says Hebrews mean Hebrew. So when we came over here, they wasn't calling us Igbo, Igbo. They wasn't calling us Igbo. They was calling us Hebrews. And this is documented on the flyer to sell us to these white folks when we came off the ships. They said Hebrews. Now what do Hebrews sound like to you? It sounds like Hebrew. So when we came off those ships, they never said Negroes for, they later said Negroes for sale, but they never said Africans for sale, or they never said Igbo or Ibu. They said Hebrews, man, what means Hebrew, man. So stop playing with yourself, man, when you saying that the Negroes in America has no connection with Hebrews. Like that's just deceiving the people, man. And we can't be doing that, man. Whatever, dig deep and find out. Because if you say you a Moor, like I said before, man, that's the most generic word on the face of this earth. It means black, man. Ask one of these white folks in America what country they come from. They gonna say Germany. They gonna say France. They gonna say Ireland. But then again, they'll say white. You know why they would say white? Because it's a generic term, and to them, those countries don't matter no more. Where they previously descended from, it don't matter to them. So when you say you are more, it means the countries that you previously came from don't matter no more. Y'all. Real talk. The Moors is a bunch of coons, man. Cause they love the white man system, man. So my brothers and sisters, and I hate using that word, man. I sat down with my cousin for a good word. He's a bald headed, save face coon. But I sat down for, but he's a Christian though, and I sat down with him, man. I was so patient with him. I was so patient with him. And then everything I said was just going right over his black bald head. And I talked to my other cousin. We the same age. That was my older cousin I was talking to. We the same age. And we just looked at each other, man. And he was like, man, that nigga's a fucking coon, man. Fucking Christian coon. So like, when I say coon, man, like y'all force me to say this shit, man, cause that's a strong word, and I know somebody called me a coon. I'm ready to fight. So man, this is what I say to the Muslims in general, man. Bunch of fucking coons, man. The Moors, for the simple fact, how is a shaved head and a bald face a part of your culture as a black man? And also, the Moorish Science Temple of America. Y'all got American flags in there, and y'all. And first of all, what descendants today of the slaves flag will hold up American flag? That's where y'all get me at. And I was watching a brother on Sinetta TV. His name is something Bay. He's a Moor, and I was just looking at him, man, listening to him talk. And as he was talking, man, I can only think about one thing, man. Just how he looked, how he talked. There's only one thing that was on my mind, man. And that one thing was, I bet he got a white wife, man. I bet he do, man. He looked like he loved white women, man. It's messed up, man. But that was, to me, that was the vibration he was putting off. He was speaking nice and kind words, man. But Negroes today, we don't need them nice and kind words no more, man. Tell you the truth, we need our ass kicked for the way we've been acting. We need tough love, man. Cause right now, that's all we getting in the Christian church is kind words. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no more kind words. Tell me I'm doing wrong. Yell at me. You know what I'm saying? Help me to straighten up my life. You know what I'm saying? Give me some rules to live by. You know what I'm saying? Point me in the right direction. Don't have me walk down a false path. Don't tell me, oh, brother, we built great civilizations. Black people did that. I said, well, I'm going to say, cool, word. What nation of black people did that? Brother, it don't matter. Black people did it, man. No, man, because guess what, man? All black people not the same, man. They not the same, man. And another thing I want to bring out is that they say the Moors have a strong connection to Islam, and they do. But the Moors has an even stronger connection with the Bible. You got Christianity, you got the Moors practicing. No. You got Christianity was a slave religion, and basically you got the Hebrew Israelites praising their God and keeping their laws, and then you got another slave religion, which is Islam. Now I'm looking at a picture right now, a beautiful picture of these black folks in New York standing, and obviously you could tell there's a rabbi in the middle of the picture of the group of the people because he got his fringes on. And some say this picture is from 1929. Oh yeah, I can see the Shield of David in the background too. Now this got a poster in the background and it says the Moorish Zion's Temple of the Moorish Jews. Read it again, and it also has it translated into Hebrew right next to it. It says the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews. Now, back in the day, 1929's New York, late 1800s, the Moors knew they was Moors for the simple fact it meant black. They would say that with pride. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Moor. But at the same time, turn around and say I'm a Jew. Nationality is a Jew from the Southern Kingdom. It was no confusion back then. Okay? Now, I also saw a picture of Noble Drew Ali and his crew. I believe it had to be during the same period for the simple fact I identify some of the same people that was in the Moorish Jewish picture that was in Noble Drew Ali picture. Some of the same people was in the same picture. So obviously it was a split from the Moorish Jewish temple. And some went with Drew Ali. Okay? And obviously the Moorish Jewish temple had to be first because you don't really hear about that in history no more. You hear about Drew Ali. They trying to sun the Moorish Jewish temple under the rug, man. No. I'm gonna show y'all both of the pictures and say, I don't know if y'all caught that, but I'm gonna say it again that we once knew that we was Moors, but we also knew that our nationality was Jews. But what happened? What happened? And one thing that just throws me off, man, is that when I see these so-called Moors with they suit and ties on, bow tie, save face, and that weird little silly hat with the ponytail, show me that being an indigenous culture of America, man. Show me the brothers in Europe wearing that, or the brothers in Africa. Alright, just show me. You could probably pull a picture up. That's cool. I would love to see it. But if you can't, you cannot tell me that y'all was wearing that when y'all was walking around as free indigenous people of America. That's foolishness, man. That's the Arab culture, man. Give it back to them. Because I can tell you right now, I seen indigenous pictures of black Americans, man. And they have fringes on. They have feathers, man. Same as the red Indian. So, this is what I say, man. When the Moors love the white man's system, they uphold his flag, they dress like him, they shake his hand. Yeah, you might intimidate them when you go in their courtroom and everything. Some of y'all might beat the cases, some of y'all don't beat the cases. So, point is, man, they so far gone in this system, man, and it's disgusting, man. Y'all have too much faith in these books and these constitutions, man. When prophecy is coming to pass in these last days, and you need to be reading the Bible, man, and keeping these laws. Now, what I want to get into next is where did this Islam Islam philosophy and religion come from, because they all want to say we was Muslims on the West Coast. We was Muslim. We was in Europe. We was Muslims. We was in America. You know what? You might have a point. Yeah, we was Muslim. I mean, we was practicing that religion. But why was we practicing that religion? That's the question, though. So what I'm about to read is a couple of quotes, maybe a couple of paragraphs from this article entitled "Jews in Africa, Part One: The Barbers and the Jews." Fact paper, 19I, by Samuel Kurski. All rights reserved. Now, before I even get into it, I gotta read this description under the picture that's on the top of the article, and it's a beautiful picture, man. Beautiful picture of Queen Kahina riding on this horse with an umbrella over her head, and you can see she got her peoples with her. Now it says the Jewish Queen Kahina of the Barbers, the Jewish Queen Kahina of the Barbers, leading the armies of the tribes against the invading armies of the Arab mercenaries in the year 694. Now, this is her quote right here. It says, "Lions of Africa and lions of Judah" was said to have been her rallying cry. "So these Arabs that we will not be enslaved by Islam. Let our slogan be the cry of the zealous of the old, freedom or death." Now this Queen Jew of the Barbers said Lions of Africa, because the Barbers and the Jews, they had an alliance going. So Lions of Africa and Lions of Judah was said to have been her rallying cry. She was getting them pumped, talking about let's go, let's get it. "So these Arabs that we will not be enslaved by Islam. Let our slogan be the cry of the zealous of the old, freedom or death." She wasn't having it, man. She wasn't having it. She said, I refuse to bow down to some feminine vibration of Islam. You know? These heathens coming across just want to push their philosophy down somebody's throat. No, no, no. Our people, our people of the west coast of Africa and Nigeria and Mali and Ghana, we fought with Queen Kahina and the Barbers. So we won't be impressed by that slavery religion of Islam, man. And our people died fighting that. But what was the outcome? What do you think the outcome was? Exactly. It's obvious what the outcome was. That's why Islam overtook the west coast of Africa. And we're going to find out how they got into Spain and who was already in Spain when the Muslims went up there. Now, I'm not gonna get really into it of some other things that the article states about the wonderful things that our ancestors did in the past. I'm just gonna read a quick line, and it says, "The Jews of Alexandria prospered, rich and fruitful, and until and it and into no one idle. Some are blowers of glass, and others make papers, and all at least weavers of linen, or seem to belong to one craft or another. The lame have their occupation, the wounded have theirs, the blind have theirs, and not even those whose hands are crippled or idle." So that means when we was in Alexandria, which is in Egypt, they said like we was working, we was doing our thing, wasn't asking nobody for nothing. Even the lames had their occupation and was getting it in. We was an independent nation. We was blessed, man. And that's in Alexandria, and it also goes in into state how we was doing our own thing in Libya, and we had Hebrew communities in Libya, man. How we were so independent and needed not nothing from these other nations. So let me not get off topic. Let's talk about this Islam. All right, I'm not gonna read this whole article to y'all, but definitely check it out. I'm gonna leave a link. It's a real good read right here about our ancestors. But I am gonna read this real quick. Now, if you read earlier in the article, Queen Kahina fought off 40,000 Arab invaders from the east and sent them packing on their way. Okay? But 5 years later, guess who's coming back with 60,000 troops? 20,000 more from last time. So, if you read earlier in this article, a lot of Jews from Egypt and Liberia and the Middle East and other parts of Africa, they was forced westward, and the Berbers was the only African nation that welcomed them with open arms, and a lot of the Berbers converted into basically obeying the God, of Israel. So the alliance between the Jews and the Berbers was so tight, they basically became one people. And like I said, the Berbers was the only nation in Africa on the west coast that welcomed the Jews. Now it says right here, the Jews slash Berbers were lured into falling to mobilize for defense against the Arab army. Hassan's new fresh army of 60,000 troops swept swiftly across the continent, this time unresistant and even sustained by the Christian communities in their path. It soon became clear that Hassan had no intentions of halting at the Berbers' borders. Unprepared, the Berbers' armies was thrown into retreat. The queen, learning too late of the Arab perfidy, hastily mounted a counter-offense. In description, the queen launched a scorched earth campaign in the path of thundering Arabs' troops, burning fields, cutting down trees, and destroying dwellings to deny subsequence and booty to their invaders. I guess that's the footpath. The queen's plans was also frustrated by an enemy within her own ranks, just as King Saul lost his kingdom upon sparing the Amalek king. Queen Kahina lost hers when she spared the brave and handsome Khalid Abdul Yasid, whatever, a strikingly handsome youth among the captives. Khalid had become a loyal adopted member of Kahina's own family, secretly remaining a devout Muslim. Khalid passed critical information to the General Hassan. So she had an informant within her ranks, man. And it led to her downfall, man. That's why Yahweh told us when we went in the land, man, kill babies, mothers, sisters, fathers, everybody, man. Don't spare none, man. That's what happens, man, when your feelings come into play and you have strict commandments to go in the land and just rid it from all these heathens, man. That's what happened, man. She had a rat. Hassan, Hassan Khalid passed critical information to the General Hassan about planned surprises, attacks, and ambushes. Thus armed, Hassan was able to prevail. Finally, probably concerned that his perfidy was about to be exposed, the trusted spy slipped out of the Berber camp and was rewarded by Hassan with positions of deputy commander. Khalid's inmates' knowledge of Berber's encampment haunts and hideouts was a major factor in sealing the queen's doom, man. I mean, sealing the queen's doom. Alright, let me jump down. Man, this article is so long, man. I'm just gonna wrap it up with this right here. Because I read it before, but I'm trying to skim through it to get all the good parts. So I'm just gonna wrap it up right here. And I'm gonna put a link and let y'all read it. But it's a real good article. Y'all gotta read it. The last paragraph of this section says, the Jews and the Berbers was given a choice, because this is the second fault they fought with the Arabs. The first time with the Arabs troops of 40,000, Queen Kahina and her army with the Jews and the Berbers fought them off easy, no problem. But now They came back with 60,000 troops. On top of that, the queen had a rat in her organization. So the end result is this right here. The Jews and the Barbers were given a choice: convert to Islam or die. Some 50,000 refused to convert and were massacred. The others opted for conversion. Now, what did that sound like, man? What do that sound like? It sound like all the Jews and the Barbers had to convert and leave their God behind and convert into Islam. 50,000 refused. Can you imagine that right now? Can you imagine that in this day and age, man? Having the strength and the will to die for your faith, man. Your true faith. The faith that God gave you Himself and that was not forced upon you by any man. What do you Muslims got to say to that, man? What do you Moors have to say to that, man? These are your ancestors right here from northern Africa and northern west coast of Africa who died fighting off these Arabs to stand for what they believe in, man. They didn't want to become no Islam or Arab. They like praising their God, Yah. Man, this is what I'm saying, man. Islam is a slave religion, man, and we got to shake it off along with Christianity, man. Because I see right now, man. Let's talk. Let me wrap this. Let me wrap. Now, something else you got to understand about these ancient Moors is that there was Hebrew Moors in Spain first. Okay, they had different dynasty of the Moors uh, empire in Spain. And if you do your research, you will find that the Arabs came later on. Okay, so let's read a little bit. The converted Jews and Barbers became a significant part of the Arab forces which invaded Iberia. The commanders of the joint Barber/Arab army which crossed the strait between Africa and Europe to conquer Spain was Jewish/Barbers considered to have been one of the sons of Queen Kahina. Hold on, let me read that again. The commander of the joint/Barber/Arab army which crossed the strait between Africa and Europe to conquer Spain in 711 CE was Jews/Barbers convert, said to have been one of the sons of Queen Kahina. His Arab name was Jabbar Tazark, became transcribed into the name of the fortress Gilbert Altar, and the rock is referred to as Tahark Rock. Many African Jews entered secretly, continuing their faith, as did the Morenos on a later period. The Iberian Jews collaborated fully with the invaders. Those was the black Jews that was already there. The converted Jews proved advantage to both the Arabs and the Iberian Jews. The Arabs were dependent on both the Barber convertees and the Iberian Jews for a successful invasion. The Barber/Arab success in Iberia were made possible only by the assistance and collaboration of both the Sephardim, which was the Jews that was already in Spain when they got there, and the formerly Barber Jews. Point blank period, man. Jews was already in Spain, and then the Arabs came, and 50,000 of our people died and refused to bow down to a false god. And the ones that did live, they was um they was shipped to Spain where their brethren was. But guess what? Wherever they went, they was the light, man. And everybody had to go to them for the answers. Nothing is possible without the Jews, or the whole world will be dark.
We traveled to the country on the western fringe of the Sahara to see for ourselves. We would meet people who never knew freedom, people who escaped to find their lives hadn't changed, and abolitionists who have been fighting against slavery for years with minimal results. We weren't allowed to be reporting on slavery. It's a practice the government tries to hide from outsiders. But as we would find, slavery is everywhere in Mauritania, if you know where to look.
C'est possible pour aller chez Mulher?
Je ne peux pas aller chez Mulher. Ce n'est pas possible et ce n'est pas aussi très adroit. Parce que une fois, on a amené des gens, on a amené là-bas des journalistes et la police est venue les prendre et elle a pris leur caméra.
We asked Boubacar Messaoud, the head of an abolitionist group called SOS Slaves, to introduce us to people who had recently escaped from slavery. One woman we met is trying to bring her case to court. The government is keeping a close eye on her to stop her from telling her story.
كنا يبطنا مسرحنا بايقة من الحيوان البقار والغنم والبن ومضاد السراحة ما من نجي نعود مطيشين شي من البيضة شي تريف يخبط فوقنا التعمر ويبطنا البط الشديد وباني بنا كاملين شاكين كان يبطني بعد يبطوني كاملين يبطون بالعمد وبالدبابيس وندوروا فيهم حقنا كامله وظن كنت تركه لا تركتهم هم ولا مخالدين لا تركته لكن مخالدين هذيك الساعة معاهم ما نعرف شيء شايفين معاهم ما نعرف شيء لا عن ما مهدي بس لين عاد يبطوني بطل متين وكل شيء عاد يعطون ما مهدي إذا كانوا ما يبطوني للبطل متين لا هذا عاد معي خاسر لين خلي قتلوه هذا الراجل كنا يسامع عربنا كتبوا بالحالة شنو لين عاد كيف لكن هاي نخلي بيبي هاي مسوي قروة عاد يهزوني فيه هزوني فيه قتلوه يخلي بيبي قتلوه.
While SOS Slaves was able to reunite Mulher with her children, others are forced to leave their families behind.
مثلا الآن حاول سفن قد نمشي بها السيفة تعود ضامنة ما يجي جاتني وتل السناطرة أنا ما مشيت معكم انتم مدينة ضمنتوني ما تردوني ضرب منين تعودوا لهم طردين ولا اللي تردوني أنا أختاركم تخبطوني بعمارة وتردموني عن نرجع نتخمم بها بعد اللي ما قدنا ساعة اللي مزارة أخوتي لي ما قدنا ساعة ما قدنا ساعة حد مولي إذا كان من الإعدام ما يقدين ساعة
These abolitionists are trying to prove that slavery still exists here. That's one reason SOS Slaves helped us meet Matala and Mulher. Their stories are evidence that brutal forms of slavery are still very real. Since slavery became a crime, only one slave owner has been successfully prosecuted. The government still denies the practice exists.
Je dois vous dire qu'en Mauritanie, la liberté est totale. La liberté de penser. L'égalité entre toutes les ethnies, tous les hommes et les femmes de la Mauritanie. L'égalité entre les gens. Il y a un phénomène auquel vous faites probablement allusion, et je vais être très direct avec vous, qui a existé en Mauritanie, et qui a existé dans d'autres pays. C'est l'esclavage. Et dans toutes les communautés, qui est aboli. et qui est criminalisé aujourd'hui par notre gouvernement. Donc il n'y a absolument plus de problème en Mauritanie. En tout cas, depuis longtemps et en particulier avec ce gouvernement.
L'État mauritanien considère que l'esclavage n'existe pas, particulièrement devant la caméra ou devant des étrangers. Par contre, on peut en trouver en campagne. On peut trouver des esclaves en campagne qui reconnaissent qu'ils sont esclaves, mais il faut les chercher.
We traveled into the Sahara to see slavery firsthand. It was a mission hindered by government minders who were assigned to follow us into the desert to make sure we didn't talk about this topic. In the Inchiri region, we slowed down and then stopped unexpectedly, hoping we would have a few moments before the minders noticed. The first people we spoke with told us in plain terms that they were living in slavery.
When they say they're exploited, what do they mean by that?
But when the government minders realized what we were up to, our guide had to try to distract them while we continued the conversation.
So we are exploited. We are among the people.
So the only locusts in country is the ones that you have in captivity?
We are also exploited.
A short distance away, we spotted a group of lighter-skinned people who we thought might be their slave masters. Most slave families in Mauritania consist of darker-skinned people whose ancestors were captured by lighter-skinned Arabs centuries ago. Many of those ties remain intact. It was impossible for us to discuss the matter openly. But this man told us he doesn't pay his darker-skinned workers, and their situation seemed obvious.
لا يحرثوهم يحرثوهم الروس واللي يحرثون لوتهم الناس الخرق تحرث الروس لا مولانا الا الله تبارك وتعالى.
The minders warned us not to stop unexpectedly again. We left wishing we had more time to talk. Not all instances of slavery are so clear-cut. Many people in Mauritania exist somewhere on the spectrum between slavery and freedom. We set out on a second journey, this time hoping to find people in slave villages, called Adwaba.
Le Baï, c'est en fait un village composé essentiellement d'anciens esclaves et d'esclaves qui ont quitté leur maître et qui travaillent là-bas et qui vivent là-bas.
In the southern deserts, we found people who no longer live with their masters, but remain in a form of slavery. Food and water are scarce, and people here live in extreme poverty. Their masters allow them to live on their own and sometimes keep part of the harvest. But the masters also can come back to demand work without pay.
Ils sont des esclaves affranchis ou bien des esclaves qui sont pas en condition d'esclavage, mais ils en ont le statut.
Boubacar told us that when a slave is granted this kind of partial freedom, their masters make them feel indebted. In a way, this pulls them further into slavery.
بيعودوك يوماتهم كذا الناس لولا تراه ما نقرهم يا كانوا يعطيهم ولانا يعودوا ما ممكن نحن الناس لولا اللي ما تقر يعطيهم ولانا
عربين ولا انتم عندكم عربين ولا حرب ولا
احنا لا حرب هاي خلينا احنا الروس
جايبين اليوم شرف القريب الشرقي
يقول اللي يعود عندهم العبيد يقول يعود مع البيضاء اوكي ما اسمع ايوه لين شوكي نقولوا مدة كيف معناها مستقلية الروس
At first, this man denied having contact with his master. But when we jumped into a car with him to talk privately, he explained that his master still demands work, and he pointed out that slaves here are seen as inferior.
We don't have a minister, we don't have anything.
After the sunset, we drove several miles to visit a final village. We found people who were grateful that we had stopped to talk with them, and to acknowledge their existence. That's not something that normally happens here.
ما كانت الناس قاع يكون إلا وتوه مرة يجيها حد
ما يحنقع
ما يحنقع. كانت الناس ذيك الأخرى اللي تتخيل إنها غاركية اللي كانت مستعمرة الناس. ذيك الناس المستعمرة ما جاية حد قاع. ذيك الناس اللي متدسمة شوي والله كذا الحكم والله كذا ذيك هي اللي جينا احنا بشي.
C'est ça le problème de l'esclave. C'est pour cela que l'esclavage persiste. Parce que les gens n'ont pas besoin d'employer la force physique, mais ils ont la violence symbolique. La violence symbolique, c'est quoi? C'est la misère.
لا يقول مولي انها مدانة حتى ما يمدانة. هذا النوع من الناس اصلا طاهم ولانا الضعف ما نافع فيه شيء وحد بعد إذا جاه وطاه اخبار ولا مولي يعمل معها عمل ذيك الاخبار اللي جعطاته.
Perhaps the most surprising thing about slavery in Mauritania is this. Some people who are born into slavery don't even realize they're being exploited. Back in the capital, we spoke secretly with a former slave named Jabawa. He was liberated years ago, but told us he never understood the freedom he was granted.
بالنسبة لي ماني جابر عليه ضربه ما حسيت به وذاك النوع ما قط قال إنه قاعش في ذاك النوع ذاك هو.
We reunited Jabawa with his former owner Abdel, who has been living abroad and who he hadn't seen in years. Their relationship isn't what you'd expect, and we were surprised by their interaction.
Il n'y a pas de cheveux blancs, mais il y a tous les signes de la vieillesse. Ça va, ياك لاباس عليكم؟ بخير. وانت الواحد اللي شنو هاك؟
نعرف وين الحريق.
يخلصوك ولا ما يخلصوك؟ خلاص. ها؟ نغرش. Le choix de Ibao, c'était pour moi le choix de... C'est comme si je choisissais un jouet. Et ce n'est pas nouveau. Dans la tradition, chaque fois qu'un garçon est circoncis, en général, ils choisissent un esclave ou une esclave. Pour moi, c'était juste une chose qui m'amusait beaucoup et qui me venait à l'esprit parce qu'il me faisait rire, ces histoires de parler en dormant, d'être un peu gros, un peu maladroit. Et le fait qu'il soit tout le temps en train de perdre les animaux qu'on lui confie, qu'il soit tout le temps puni. سرحة الغنم ويمشي بالليل والناموس والصكة والعياط وإذا مر منين والديارة.
أنا بالنسبة لي كنت سال حلال هدي ما حد يسقيط كنت سال حلاق لمهدي توعيات تاخذ إلي من هالشيء مثلا يقوم يصكوا إلي ويشرب هي ومساعة اللي مشيت مات لحد مصكك إلي عاد ذاك لا خسر تابع حلال أنا هو اللي ينلوذ له هو اللي لا.
Il y a plus de punition.
But there's a twist to Abdel Nasser's story. The slave master would go on to become one of Mauritania's most prominent abolitionists.
À l'âge de 16 ans, quand j'ai commencé à découvrir et à fréquenter le centre culturel français ici à Nouakchott, je me suis mis à lire, j'ai découvert l'histoire de la Révolution française en bande dessinée. Je tombe sur l'article « Tous les hommes naissent libres et égaux en droit ». C'est l'article qui m'a le plus fait réfléchir. Et je commence à me poser la question, est-ce que le mensonge, c'est ce qui est dans ces livres, ou est-ce que le mensonge est dans ma culture à moi? Et là, je me rends compte que l'esclavage est un phénomène minoritaire dans le monde. Et je suis allé en vacances de fin d'année dans le campement de l'émir du Tagant, qui était mon grand-père. Et là-bas, j'ai décidé que dans mes rapports avec les esclaves, tout allait changer et que je n'allais plus accepter que les gens me servent. Mais personne ne m'écoutait, les gens rigolaient parce qu'ils n'avaient jamais entendu ce genre de discours. Et Yubawa lui-même ne comprenait rien. Et si Yubawa vient tout à l'heure, ils peuvent lui demander, il leur dira, je suis l'esclave.
المرة الأولى شديت مع الشغلة اللي قاعد في باب القاضي. ايش كان عندك؟
قلني ما حاجة اللي قاعد لأن النساء اللي في التراس ما عقدتش طالت الحد.
طلعت لا الراس لا راسي والله لي
الطريقه كانت مفقد
اللحظه اللي عاد تشتغل راسك وتخلص Sur Yebbawa, j'ai échoué. Oui. C'était un échec. Ça a réussi ailleurs, mais pas sur Yebbawa.
By working with a man from the other end of Mauritania's rigid social system. In 1995, the Reformed master teamed up with a man named Boubacar, whose family was enslaved. Together, they started the group called SOS Slaves.
Mais quand même, je peux vous dire que je suis fils d'une esclave. Ma mère n'a jamais été affranchie. Moi également, je n'ai jamais été affranchi. Mais j'avais eu la chance de ne pas être directement en prise avec les maîtres.
C'était Boubacar avec son groupe, ses amis. Et nous, on venait de la bourgeoisie qui était au gouvernement. Et eux, ils venaient de fils d'esclaves qui ont fait des études. Et la rencontre a donné naissance à SOS Esclaves. C'était la première fois que les deux groupes se retrouvaient dans l'histoire de la Mauritanie qu'ils se rencontraient.
J'ai dit il faut accepter d'inscrire toute personne de bonne volonté comme membre. Je leur dis qu'en Amérique, des Blancs ont fait la guerre à des Blancs pour libérer les autres de l'esclavage.
Il faut essayer de mettre dedans toutes les composantes ethniques et sociales de la Mauritanie.
Notre action ne touche que les esclaves sensibilisés. Parce que sans esclaves sensibilisés, vous ne pouvez rien faire. Alors nous sommes obligés de chercher celui qui a déjà ouvert les yeux.
Le grand succès, c'est lorsque la loi qui pénalise l'esclavage en disant que l'esclavage est pénalisé et qui fixe des peines, des châtiments, a été votée en 2007.
Elle est, pour moi, la reconnaissance explicite du pouvoir mauritanien que l'esclavage existe.
Activists are trying to make the courts enforce the law, but the government has been cracking down on their efforts. Members of another anti-slavery group, called IRA Mauritania, have been imprisoned for speaking out.
ومنذ انطلاق عمل منظمتنا بدأت المظاهرات ضد العبودية التي لم تشهد موريتانيا قط. فبدأت الحكومات الموريتانية ترد على المظاهرات والاحتجاجات السلمية بالسجون بالقمع والسجن والتعذيب.
Hiram took us to a safe house that's run by his organization. The group gives shelter to slaves who escape their masters.
Là, c'est une famille qu'on a pu réunir en la libérant de l'esclavage. Plusieurs familles qu'on a réunies, on a libéré de l'esclavage. Ici, c'est le salon où beaucoup de victimes passent ici la nuit. Beaucoup aussi de militants.
If Boubacar is Mauritania's Martin Luther King, Hiram is Malcolm X.
C'est pourquoi il y a tous les gens que vous voyez en chemise blanche, en cravate noire. C'est la sécurité rapprochée. Il est toujours avec moi, autant à la maison que dans mes déplacements, parce que ma vie est menacée par le système, par les services de renseignement, par les autorités.
رفعنا مئات القضايا الواضحة وقدمنا الأدلة ولكن لم نتمكن قط من تطبيق القانون لأن القيمين الماسكين بالدولة وبالقضاء بالدولة وضباط الشرطة القضائية كلهم من فئة ملاك العبيد.
Abolitionists in Mauritania are trying to pressure the government to treat slavery as a crime, but they're also working to help people who have escaped slavery and have nowhere to go. Without marketable skills, it's difficult to survive, and some people actually return to their former masters just for regular food and shelter.
C'est pour cela que nous revendiquons que non seulement il ne faut pas incriminer seulement l'esclavage, mais il faut faire des programmes économiques permettant aux esclaves de n'avoir plus besoin du maître.
We visited a school for escaped slaves in the capital. Women there learn skills they can use to keep themselves out of slavery: sewing, cooking, and dyeing fabric.
وتكلم هالشيء نكون هالشيء على عدة أعمال ياكنا نعرف بأن احنا بقى مسيطرة هنا لا عندنا شيء طاقة ليش عندنا خياطة وفلاني عندنا هذا صار الزبير هذا الوظيفة اللي جينا هنا مقتنعين بيه هم عندهم جينا هم أنا عارفين مختلف اللي حد كان في عندي ما نخاف ما إن شاء الله هاي شهادات ضمن عدل إن شاء الله عدل تكون عدل صلاة.
SOS opened the school last year. It serves only 30 women, of the hundreds of thousands of people who are enslaved in this country. Funding is tight, and it's unclear how long the school will be able to continue.
C'est une seule année. Maintenant, il faudrait qu'à la fin de l'année, nous ayons d'autres gens qui financent pour continuer.
The UN says more programs like this are desperately needed for Mauritania to break the centuries-old cycle of slavery. This is only one school fighting against a system that refuses to acknowledge these women were ever enslaved.